everybody, this is Russ Miller and I want to welcome you to the Commandments of R&B Drumming video series. We're going to take this 3-volume series and look at R&B music and R&B drumming from a historical standpoint, from an instructional standpoint on the drums themselves, and also talk about some of the attributes and aspects of just R&B music in general. I'm a great fan of R&B music and have had the pleasure of working with several R&B artists myself, but I want to introduce you guys to a real freak about this genre of music. His name's Zoro, and he's one of the most respected drummers in R&B. Had the pleasure of working with some great artists in the 80s and 90s like The New Edition, Bobby Brown, Jody Watley, Lenny Kravitz, all the way up through legends of music like Frankie Valli. He's one of my best friends, but besides that, he's probably the most knowledgeable guy that I know on this subject. Owns about 3,000 CDs and is really pumped up and excited about R&B music and R&B drumming.
What's going on, Russ? What's happening, baby?
So man, R&B music. Let's talk about it. R&B drumming.
The R&B drummer's role is very defined. It's about time, it's about feel, and it's about groove. And it's about only those three things. And it's also about knowing how to serve the music. In essence, an R&B drummer is a servant. You have to have a humble attitude to play R&B music because it's not all about all the cool stuff you can do. It's about serving the song and serving the artist and laying down the groove for them. And you do that through basically these three instruments right here. You could take away the rest of this drum kit, and I used to practice when I was at Berklee College of Music and even at my house and even on gigs I do, with just three things: hi-hat, kick drum, and snare. That's the essence of R&B drumming. It's those three things, and it's knowing what your role and function is.
2, 3, hit it! Watch me!
Hip-hop first manifested itself in such forms as rap music, break dancing, and graffiti writing. Between the years of 1974 and 1975, there was a DJ who came to prominence in the West Bronx of New York. Originally from Jamaica, he went by the name of Herc, short for Hercules. The use of DJs, or toasters as they were called, was popular in Jamaica. At that time, the Bronx was home to a large Jamaican community. Bringing that tradition with them, the use of DJs for block parties became widespread in the New York City area. Kool Herc has been credited as the originator of breakbeat music. As a DJ, Herc would find the funky drum breakdown section of songs like James Brown's The Funky Drummer. He would get 2 turntables and 2 copies of The Funky Drummer, and then play the drum break of the first record while queuing up the same drum break on the second record. Just before one ended, he started the other drum break. He would keep mixing it back and forth so it would be one continuous groove. This is what he called the breakbeat. The modern hip-hop era really began with turntables. This was the innovation that led to this whole style of music and the birth of the rap hip-hop era. Herc actually created his own extended version with the 2 turntables, and the people grooved to it. African American and Hispanic kids gathered from miles around to hear DJs like Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, and Fab Five Freddy spin their funkiest records.
All right, Z, the hip-hop era.
Yeah.
Interesting time in drumming.
Yes, that's the time when people lost their mortgages and couldn't pay their bills.
No, it definitely had some different aspects than what we were talking about in the soul volume and funk volume. And now, with the advent of machines, there was a couple different things that drummers were faced with. You know, one,
starvation.
Starvation was one of them.
That's the first thing.
Now, a lot of artists started to not use drummers, live drummers, right? So
it's true.
There's a lot of programming, a lot of loops.
At least
like that.
in the latter part, up to like '83, drummers were kind of still being used, the early Sugar Hill sound. But yeah, later.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, the first time I came notice of you and your playing was in that time period, middle '80s, when I saw Bobby's stuff and the Roni video. That was like '87.
Yeah, that was Bobby Brown. Let's see. New Edition was '85. Yeah, that was about '87. Right. Yeah, that was.
So this is your era, man. This is where you're from, and I know that there's a lot of technical things that have to happen from a drummer standpoint to be able to play some of these things. First and foremost, because of the machines, probably the ability to play with a click track. I know for me has been like crucial in my career. I've done almost every major pop gig I've done. I've had to use a click track, and I know you've had to as well.
Yeah, once the machine thing came in and the perfect metronomic timing. I mean, it was there, the click track was there before the hip-hop era, but with that drum machine era, you either had to emulate the drum machine grooves and play exactly those grooves in order to get the gigs, or you had to play to a click track and play grooves kind of like that. And I think, that was my era that, let's say that I started getting my gigs or rose to any semblance of prominence, but I had grown up listening to funk and soul were my influences. But I had a serious decision to make in the early hip-hop era. It was like, I either get this stuff together or I'm sort of like a dinosaur. I'm sort of out of the loop. And so I remember listening to a lot of those different machine grooves and at first being frightened, like, oh my God, machines, man, I can't play that. And you kind of get intimidated. And I thought, you know what? If I don't get with that, pretty soon I'm not going to be in the scene and nobody's going to call me and I'm not going to be on the latest styles of beats. So then I made a decision. In my mind, I thought I want to be a drummer who could play like a drum machine, but with the human feeling that a drum machine lacks.
It lacks incredibly.
Yeah, I mean, there's no human element of emotion or of dynamic level and all that other stuff. But one of the things about that era is, like, as we saw with soul music, the drums were at a certain volume. Then in funk, it got louder. Then in hip hop, it got louder even more. And like in funk, when the beats, some of the songs were revolved around the beats. In hip hop, the whole song might be a beat, with just like a little, one-note bass line or a couple of little dumb horn lines, but the whole song was like the beat.
Yeah, the groove is the composition, so to speak.
Yeah, the groove. Unfortunately, we didn't get royalties for any beats we created. We just
we're used to that.
Yeah, we're used to that. But and then so with that brought like the greatest challenge to the drummer, technically in the R&B setting, because even though the early R&B drummers were great technical drummers, there were new demands that the machine created, mainly because of the people programming them they didn't consider whether anybody could play that stuff or not. They just, this beat will be great. This will make a funky record, ridiculous kick drum stuff, ridiculous hi-hat stuff. So I think it became a very confusing era for a lot of drummers. That's when a lot of guys just sort of like, I don't play drums anymore. I played up until then, and then I'm kind of not there anymore. And then the younger guys kind of were like, gee, I want to be a part of that, or gee, I'm not going to be a part of anything. Because I didn't play in the 70s like the guys that I listened to. So that had to be the era that I was going to be, about, because I was 22 or 23 when I was playing with the New Edition. So it's like, gee, this is modern music, for that age. So you kind of had to jump in and swim and figure your way as you went. Go-go is perhaps one of my favorite styles of R&B music, mainly because it was the last style of R&B that featured a live drummer. It comes to us from the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. It thrived there regionally only from about the early 70s, 1972, until about 1979. There were other groups in go-go like Trouble Funk and EU. Probably the godfather of go-go is a group by the name of Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. They really put go-go on the map, and they're pretty much the kings of it from that area. They had this big hit in 1979 called Bustin' Loose, which featured Ricky Wellman. He is the go-go drummer, the pioneer, the guy who developed the go-go beat itself. There are many other great drummers that came from the area, but by far he's the most influential to the style.
What you got until you get what you need, y'all. You got to give a lot just to get what you need sometimes, y'all. Give me the red now. I feel like busting loose, busting loose. Give me the red now. Like bustin' loose now. Bustin' loose in the evening. Bustin' loose can be pleasing. Talking about bustin' loose, y'all. Bustin' loose in the meantime. Bustin' loose make you feel fine. Talking about bustin' loose, y'all. Bustin' loose to my love Jones. Bustin' loose to each his own. Talking about bustin' loose, y'all. Zone. Give me the red now. I feel like busting loose. Give me the red, y'all. Give me the red now. I feel like busting loose, busting loose. I say, Charlotte, come on, y'all sing. I say, Charlotte, get it, y'all sing. I say, Charlotte, come on, y'all sing. I say, Charlotte, hit it, y'all sing. Give me the bridge now. I feel like busting loose. Give me the bridge now, give me the bridge now. I feel like busting loose now. Busting loose when you wanna deal. Doing what you feel. Talking about bustin' loose, girl. Bustin' loose when you wanna deal. Bustin' loose, doing what you feel. Talking about bustin' loose now. Bustin' loose when you wanna sing. Bustin' loose, baby, do your thing. Talking about bustin' loose, girl. Bustin' loose when you wanna sing. Bustin' loose, baby, do your thing.
let's take a look at the music style that basically was the beginnings of hip hop, where there was still a live drummer really involved in it. And I know you're a real freak of go-go music, and you dig it. But go-go music is what we need to.
Yeah. The go-go stuff, I first got familiar with go-go probably about the same time everybody else did, which was 1979. At that time, I was a DJ, and I had a huge record collection, and this record came out by Chuck Brown called Bustin' Loose, and that sort of put go-go on the map. But then I later got more familiar with it as a drummer. When I was playing with a New Edition around 1984, we would always play in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. was the capital and the home of go-go music. And we would go out to clubs and check out all these go-go bands, and I had never really heard a go-go band until I was touring with those guys. And it was this infectious groove. It was ridiculously funky. And the term go-go comes from the fact that the groove would just go on and on and on. Like, tunes would be like, a whole show would be like 2 hours and the beat never stopped. One tune segued into the next, and a lot of times they did covers of tunes like It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing, It's a Family Affair. They would do classic, covers and remakes. There'd be like a percussion guy who would play a lot of rototoms. Rototoms were real big in go-go music. But I remember hearing that groove thinking, and it was almost like the same groove the whole way through. Drummers like Ricky Wellman with Chuck Brown, and drummers like Emmett Nixon with Trouble Funk. Those were some of the predecessors. But the music had a total swing. It was almost like swing was back in funk. The swing from the old 30s and 40s was in the funk now, and the swingy elements could be like, the kick drum could be kind of swung. But still, the difference between that and swing music is that it had a fat backbeat, which the swing music didn't have. It might have swingy hi-hat stuff, swingy kick drum stuff, but all done in a real funk flavor, so it was real big and fat. Now for another famous lick from the House of Z. Now I'm going to share with you some of the bass drum exercises that one could practice in the go-go genre, anything in the hip-hop kingdom. It's basically playing the same thing you've practiced on the ride cymbal if you have swing. Ding, ding, ta-ding, ding, ta-ding, ding, ta-ding. Only we never practice it with our foot. So in the hip-hop stuff, I like to just practice swing patterns. A lot harder to swing the foot than it is the hand. The hand is light and delicate, the foot is big, fat, and clumsy. So I practice swinging patterns with the bass drum. Then I can incorporate that also in the hip-hop genre, swinging a pattern between the right foot and the left hand. So we could take something like a paradiddle, or any of the patterns like out of Stick Control, the George Lawrence Stone classic book. If we were to take a paradiddle or an inverted paradiddle, instead of playing them straight, we would swing them between the two limbs. The right foot will be playing the right hand pattern, and the left hand will be playing the left hand. So if we were going to do an inverted paradiddle, it might go 1, 2, 3, 4. Paradiddle. So you can take any of those sort of single beat combinations out of Stick Control. It's very hard to play these patterns in a swing idiom because the snare drum feels completely different and the bass drum feels completely different. All right, the hi-hat, one of my favorite things. I like triplets a lot, different types of triplets. I call this sort of the cold-blooded hi-hat pattern. It's written out in my book. Everything's explained. But here's what it is. It's 16th note triplets, and the foot is playing the beginning of each partial of the triplet. And the left hand is playing the last two notes. So it's it's very simple. It's really just 8th notes on the foot, but you got to clean the last two notes of the triplet. You heard me play it on the beginning of the hip-hop video, the tune called The Funky Monk. And at the end of the song, in the middle of the song, I go to this very fast thing, and you're thinking it's a one-handed roll, and it's not. It's just a simple triplet. Okay, so real slow, it's going to be like this. You see the foot's closing it down, those last two notes. The key is to keep it clean afterwards. Slow motion, that's all it is. A little faster, it's just. And faster yet, in a groove, it's... Then you just have to work different patterns with the right hand. Since you only have one left hand, you can't play the snare with that. So you put the snare on 2 and 4. You'll have a lot of fun with that. You can use that kind of to color things up and, don't overplay, don't overuse it all over the place, but it's nice. It's just triplets. I'm going to share with you an exercise that I think really helps you to develop bass drum control, and it has to do with accenting, playing the bass drum at different volumes, which is something we rarely ever practice as drummers. We always play beats and then everything's at the same volume. I like to take dotted eighth note shuffle type patterns, something like out of syncopation that you would normally play with the snare, and try to practice those kind of patterns on the bass drum. They're a real mother to get, but they'll give you a lot more dynamic control. So I'm going to try to do real slow a second line pattern, which we played in the first video, in the soul video. I'm going to try to play it on the bass drum and pull out the accents there. I'm going to try to do it real slow so you can hear it. Ba-da-do, ga-da-do, ga-ga-ga-da-do, ga-da-do, ga-da. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hard, 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 stupid hard. The hip-hop explosion really took off in 1979 with a small African-American label in Inglewood, New Jersey called Sugar Hill Records. Their first monstrous hit, called Rapper's Delight, introduced rap to the whole world. The particular term hip-hop was brought to popularity by Bronx DJ Africa Bambaataa. It was a term used to describe the thriving culture that originated in the ghettos of the South Bronx. Rapper's Delight eventually sold 10 million copies and featured all live musicians. The groove was a direct copy from the song that was released earlier that same year, Chic's classic dance anthem, Good Times. The only thing new about Rapper's Delight was the introduction of a 10-minute rap. Historically speaking, this was not the first rap tune recorded. However, it was the vehicle that was needed to get the sound from the streets into mainstream America. The next big rap hit came in 1980 with The Breaks by Harlem DJ Curtis Blow. It sold over 2 million copies and helped further rap's cause. Not to be outdone, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five rushed into the studio in 1982 and released on the Sugar Hill label their smash hit entitled The Message. Now, live drummers were a big part of the early hip-hop sound from roughly 1979 to 1983. However, many of the identities of drummers were unknown because the drummers were not featured on record covers, as hip-hop was really a medium for the producer, the rapper, as opposed to the drummer. Hip-hop was used as far back as the days of Malcolm X to describe the dance parties of his youth. It is not a term used to describe an exact beat. It is synonymous with the variety of modern R&B grooves that fall under its heading, and is often used to describe the culture itself.
So we both of the gigs we've done, I think we've been faced with dealing with the machine.
Yeah.
And yeah, most of my stuff for sure, and I know yours. And one of the things that we want to talk about when we're talking about working with a drum machine, I think, is the ability to play along with this click and not follow the click, right? But develop a sense of time that kind of sits on top of this click, right? So that we're basically still in charge.
You're the master of the click.
Yeah. Even though, we can't change the computer, I mean, It's going to do its thing, but we have to have this feel that's sort of suggest that we're in charge of the band and we're still in charge of the time and everything else. It's a challenge.
Yes, indeed. My earliest recollection of the drum machine came from Sly and the Family Stone in 1971 on a tune called It's a Family Affair. That was the first time I heard a drummer combined with a rhythm box. It was actually called the Maestro Rhythm King, and it was just a little rhythm box with preset beats on it. It had polka, bossa nova. You couldn't program anything fancy. Everything was safe for a while until about the beginning of the 80s when Roger Lynn invented his infamous machine. It was simply called the Lynn Drum Machine. As soon as the Lynn Drum Machine hit the scene, it started showing up on pop records, rap records, all kinds of records, and sort of changed drumming and the future of every drummer. Many of the people that were programming drum machines were not drummers, therefore they didn't know the limits of what drummers could do. They programmed grooves that were sometimes literally impossible for one drummer to play. For example, Michael Jackson had a big hit off his Thriller album in '82 with a song called Wanna Be Startin' Something. Drummers were forced to sharpen their skills, particularly in the area of solid timekeeping and with regards to intricate hi-hat and bass drum work. Due to the ease at which you can program fast multiple strokes, such as doubles, triples, and quadruples, extremely syncopated bass drum riffs and the use of sporadic 30-second notes had become commonplace in modern R&B drumming. Now for another famous lick from the House of Z. By now you know that I like unison exercises between the both hands. One of my favorites is also doing the hip-hop shuffle unison. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. It works. It's fat, it's thick, it's meaty. Gives you some funky syncopations on those offbeats. The foundation for New Jack Swing was originally derived from James Brown, who was already swinging the funk in the 60s and in the 70s on tunes like Papa Don't Take No Mess and Talking Loud and Saying Nothing.
1, 2, 3, hit it! Watch me! Watch me! I got it! I got something that makes me want to shut up. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got soul, and I'm super bad. I got soul, and I'm super bad. Listen, now I got a move that tells me what to do. Sometimes I feel so nice, I wanna try myself with you. I got soul, and I'm super bad. Listen here. Sometimes I feel so nice. Good God. I say I wanna jump back. I wanna kiss myself. Take me to the bridge, y'all. Up and down. And round and round. Right on, people. Let it all hang out. If you know my brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about. Aye. Come on, give me, give me, give me. I got something that makes me want to shout up. I got that thing that tells me what it's all about. I got soul, and I'm super bad. Listen here. Now I got the move that tells me what to do. Sometimes I feel so nice. I wanna try myself with you. I got soul. Woo! And I'm super bad. Come on now, take me to the bridge. Come on now. Up and down. And round and round. I said up and down. And all around. Why don't people let it all hang out? If you don't stop, my brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about. Give me. I said, give me. Give me. I got something that makes me want to shout up. I got that something that tells me what it's all about. I got soul, and I'm super bad. Hey, I got soul, and I'm super bad. Give me, give me, give me. I'm super bad. Come on, Robert. No. Take me to the bridge, y'all. Up and down. And all around. I said up and down. And all around. Right on, people. Let it all hang out. If you don't, my brothers and sisters, you don't know what it's all about.
New Jack Swing was a fusion of hip-hop and traditional soul, which featured rap interludes. It was brought to mass popularity in 1987 by producer Teddy Riley, and it was first unveiled on Keith Sweat's album Make It Last Forever. By 1989, Teddy Riley and the New Jack Sound was catapulted into superstardom with the release of Bobby Brown's MCA album, Don't Be Cruel. Brown was the hottest thing going in R&B and sold 13 million units of Don't Be Cruel, which featured the hits Don't Be Cruel, My Prerogative, Roni, Every Little Step, and Rock With You. Teddy Riley simply took that swinging funk concept of James Brown and gave it a modern adaptation with a street sound. One of the funkiest New Jack swing tunes of all time was a song called Groove Me by Guy. Guy was Teddy Riley's own solo group, and it came from their self-titled album on MCA Records in 1988. It featured the drum machine in a swingy, funky way. Now for another famous lick from the House of Z. Now I'd like to share with you a little bit about my bass drum technique and some of the figures that I most frequently play on the bass drum. I'm a single bass drum player, and I get asked a lot in my clinics whether I play double bass or not for the people who can't see. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about this concept. I play 16th notes, 32nd notes, and 64th notes. They're all hard. This is very difficult to explain, so I'm going to try to do it extremely slow. 1 E and a 2 E and a. First we get the 16ths going. On the height, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. Then we line them up. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. Now then the 30-second comes, and it's just twice as fast. I'm diddling it. Now we got the 30 seconds, then the 64th. Pretty hard. Back to the 16th. 1 E and a 2 E and a. Now I know that's a little raggedy and it's a little shaggy, but it's hard to play it that slow. But that's the idea. I'm using 16ths, 30 seconds, 64ths. I'll give you one more example, a little bit faster. Let's see if I can pull it off with my DW5000 chain pedal. Here we go. A little spastic, but if you get it right and you use it in a musical setting, you use it sparingly, here and there. Make the music feel okay. A lot of times they'll look down and see if you got a double pedal or not, and you say, no, I don't. I'm a single bass drum pedal player. I hope that helps solve a little bit of the mystery of this bass drum thing. Very hard to explain. Hope you got it. See ya.
All right, man, modern hip hop. It's a culmination of all the stuff we've been talking about.
Yes, it is.
Soul and funk, all these ideals and some of the approaches. And even some of the feels are, you know, real prominent, like the half-swung feels we talked about in the early blues.
Yeah. It seems like the further we get away from our roots of music, of R&B music, the more we go back to it. Like, it seems like we try to keep getting away from those original feels in the 20s or in the 30s and the 40s of that swung feel. But when it really comes right down to it, it's still the same old thing. It's like
doesn't mean a thing, brother.
Yeah, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. It's like Duke Ellington said. And pretty much there's been a common thread of all this music. Even though it's called soul, even though it's called funk, even though it's called hip hop, it all swings. It all has a swingy element to it, which makes the music feel good. And the modern stuff, you know, today, such as like the Janet Jackson R&B of today, is like you said, it's got the machines, you know, it's got the loops and the samples. And most often drummers aren't hired so much to play on those type of records as they are hired to play live with those kind of people.
Right.
But then you've got to be able to play with the click, play the drum machine type of beats, or complement the machine or the loops. Sometimes, you know, people will call me or guys like yourself and they'll ask us to make up funky beats and there'll be a loop. And then they'll use that, and they'll use that on the record and there'll be several loops compiled. But really today's hip hop sound is really a combination of all the times of the all the sounds and grooves of the past with the more modern technology that we have available to us today. Right,
the producer's medium, so to speak, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt for us. I mean, I know with my stuff, definitely some of the artists I work with, you know, having a knowledge about electronics and being able to re-trigger some things and all of that. But also, I think the aspects technically that we're covering with the exercises and things, I mean, there's some real technical challenges that have to, you know, be overcome, especially the hi-hat and kick drum things, because guys are programming stuff that just really technically isn't something they think a drummer can even do. So.
And we normally wouldn't practice stuff like that.
Right.
So there's the, what are we doing? Are we emulating the beat that's on that record so we can play with that artist live? I like to emulate the beats just to have the ability to play those kind of grooves. So a lot of times not everybody's on a Janet Jackson gig or on any of these R&B gigs. They might be on a top 40 gig. And now what do? You want to sound like that song. It's not going to sound like that song unless you're playing something in the ballpark, you know, of that feel. And that's where learning to actually play those beats comes in. It's different than, you know, playing with them on the record, actually playing them in a live band to where the song sounds like something.
I know that you're running out of time, so you can't get away. I'll be here forever and again, whispering in your ear to believe, cause you know you cannot win. Then most your life pretending not to be the one you are, but who you choose to see. Learn to survive in your fictitious world. What they think of you determine your worth. Special's what you feel when you're with them. Taking away you feel less than again. That's right, you gotta mean what you say. You gotta say what you mean. Trying to please everyone, sacrifice your own needs. Check in the mirror, my friend. No lies will be told then. Pointing the can't blame nobody but you. You say what you mean. Trying to please everyone, sacrifice your own needs. Check in the mirror, my friend. No lies will be told then. Pointing the finger again. You can't blame nobody but you. So get inside, then you cannot change it right away. You gotta make it try. And when time it'll start to go away, I'll be here when you need that one to sit and cry to. Cause I know you forgot. The only one you know you can't lie to. That day, unleash the scared child that you've grown into. You cannot run, for you can't hide from you. Can't hide. That's right. You gotta mean what you say. You gotta say what you mean. Trying to please everyone, sacrifice your own needs. Check in the mirror, my friend. No lies will be told then. Pointing the finger again. You can't blame nobody. Say what you mean, trying to please everyone, sacrifice your own needs. Check in the mirror, my friend. No lies will be told then. Pointing the finger again. You can't blame nobody but you. What you say, you gotta say what you mean. Trying to please everyone, sacrifice your own needs. Check in the mirror, my friend. No lies will be told then. Pointing the finger again. You can't blame nobody but you. What you say, you gotta say what you mean. Trying to please everyone.
He's got the whole funk in his hands. He's got the little bitty drummers in his hands. He's got the whole funk in his hands. He's got the whole funk in his hands. We thank you for coming to watch us, to share our stupidity, our joy, our passion, and our seriousness. This music is serious, but it's also comedy. If you listen to the lyrics of R&B music, it's all about humor. It's about having fun. Now, I know I'm acting a little crazy, but that's okay. This is acceptable. It's funk, it's gospel, it's soul, it's blues, it's music. And this is my friend Russ. And we shared this wonderful 3-volume series with you. And we thank you for sharing it with us. And we hope that this inspires you on the serious tip. We hope that it inspires you to go out and buy some of this music, find out about these drummers, buy books about this stuff, and research it, and learn to experience the exhilaration that's flowing through my veins at this very moment.
Brother Z.
My funky tis a fee, sweet land of groovy me, of the funky land where my brothers groove, land where the beat does not move. From every grooving side, let funkdom ring.